Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, Spunksters. Hello. I don't know about you, but this is the August full moon, and it's August 3rd today, and this full moon, usually full moons sometimes make me a little crazy, like the energy makes me a little crazy, but it's just things like dropping things or things like that, but this one is making me so tired and so groggy and so mistake after mistake after mistake. It's crazy. So I even had to cancel, and I never do this, but I had to reschedule some readings this week because I just was not up to par, and I didn't feel like my readings were going to be up to par, and I'm super picky about that. So, and it used to drive me, I used to be so hard on myself when I had to reschedule readings because people are waiting so long. But at the same time, people want good quality readings. And so when I'm the one who's rescheduling on them, I get them in as soon as possible. They don't have to wait forever. But still, I feel bad about it. But at the same time, I also want them to get good quality readings. And if I don't feel up to par and my connection is not great, then it's okay. You got to give yourself some grace, and it's okay to reschedule. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like, this week is been crazy. This full moon for me has been kind of this sturgeon moon. So, which is it's all about, a lot of the full moons are all about transformation, but this one is more of like walking into new beginnings or new, and they kind of all seem like that, I think, but this one is supposed to be like stepping into your authenticity, and big changes are coming up. So it's kind of, yeah, which is kind of cool because full moons are always about new beginnings, and so are new moons, but yeah. So anyways, hello, my friends. Hopefully this week is better to you or good to you, and I should just embrace it because it just means that good things are coming. Always, always, always have the intention of good things coming, right? But I am teaching my connection course, and in the group chat, one of the people are like, I don't know about you, but this full moon is kicking my butt. I'm like, me too. So today we are going to talk about your guides and your angels and guides, and what's the difference. So I have done a podcast, I think about a year ago, about your guides, just talking about guides, and it touches a little bit about angels. And I've also done a podcast episode on angels or archangels. So this is kind of like combining the two because people can get them mixed up or people don't know which is which. And so we're going to kind of just talk about both of them because they both are with you all the time, or they're both surrounding you, or both guides and angels work together for your highest good or your highest protection. So I'm just going to kind of explain to you a little bit about what they are, because they can kind of be one and the same, really, right? Because your guides are people who are on the other side, who are watching over you and protecting you, and angels also are beings. The difference is your guides have to have lived on Earth before. Angels don't have to have lived on Earth before. They can. I don't really know what the rules are there, but I don't think angels have lived on Earth before. I think that they're for your protection. They're to watch over you. There's the warring angels. There's protection angels. There's archangels. Guides are more to guide you and direct you, and they are making sure you're staying on your blueprint or your your contract, your life contract. So, that's kind of where the understanding of angels and guides are. So some of the differences, I'm going to kind of go over some of the differences that so you can kind of know. But spirit guides are like souls who have evolved enough to be able to help your soul to reach its greatest potential, or to before you come here, you make a life contract or a soul contract, and you kind of write down, these are the things that I want to experience in this lifetime, and they kind of keep you on that contract on earth. So, and we always have at least 3 to 5 guides with us all the time. And one of them is always our main guide. And our main guide is with us constantly 24/7. He or she never leaves us. And we could have been a main guide for them in a different lifetime, or we could have been with them in a different lifetime. No one throughout time, your guides can change except for your main guide. Your main guide always stays the same no matter what. But different other guides. So there's like, I have a healer guide, a protector guide, my main guide, I have a joy guide. And those, not the main guide, but the other guides, they can change throughout your life. So let's say you're going through something pretty excruciating or something pretty painful, then a guide that kind of has been through it before on earth can be your guide during that time, can come in and take can help you get through that. And sometimes different guides can change. So let's say when you're little or when you're a kid, your healer guide is totally different, is a certain guide that is around you all the time. But then when you get older and you go into healing or become a light worker or become a doctor, then your healing guide is definitely going to change, because you're going to need someone who has more experience or more potency or whatever. So those can change. And for an example, when I had a pretty strong protector guide when I was little, I always felt like it was kind of this older guy that would protect me all the time and watch over me. And then because I had some pretty crazy experiences when I was little too. And my dad was an alcoholic, so you could never really tell. He was an awesome guy, but when he was drinking, he would go to the bars and sometimes pick up some lower frequencies, right? Alcohol can carry some lower frequencies, and he'd bring him home, and I'd always have to have this protector or this protection guide. So when I got older and I decided that I was going to go into readings or do readings or start doing this full time, start doing readings for people, I was going to a foot zone and had the most incredible experience. When I walked in there, my foot zoner, who was amazing. I don't know where she's at right now, but and it was my first one. I was just, kind of trying to support. I think she was a friend of my daughter's. And I said when I first walked in, I said, "Oh my gosh, you have the strongest protector guide I've ever seen. Like, he's huge, he's like a warrior, he's awesome." And she was like, "Huh." And it was crazy. And so then I did the bath, the foot zone, and as I was getting ready to leave, she's like, "Here, I want you to have this." It was a Apache or a tear, one of those, tear stones, Apache tear stones. I don't know, but it was beautiful. And as soon as she gave it to me, I took it in my hands and I could feel the energy, and I thanked her and I paid her and I walked out, and the protector guide followed me. And he left with me, and ever since then, I've had that protection guide. So I misunderstood. I thought he was her protector guide, but they were changing out my guides, and they were doing it during this foot zoning, because I feel like I had to release some things, and I had to release some emotions, and then this other protector came in. It was the most incredible experience, and this guide has been with me ever since that time, and he is the one who protects me during my readings. And I am very, very protected during my readings. And I always, before all my readings, I do a prayer protection. I set the intention. I say a prayer for my clients. I say a prayer for the readings. And I know that I call him Chief, because he's just so BA, and I know he's there. And I've had some experiences during my readings. I am not one of the mediums that talk to my guides during my readings. I know my guides are there, but my guides aren't telling me what the spirits are saying. I talk directly to the spirits. The spirits are telling me things. I know some other mediums talk to their guides, like their guides are the medium for them, but I go directly to the spirits. But there have been a couple times when my guide, my chief guide has been like, we're not letting this spirit in, which is crazy to me. And that's how I know I am protected. And so you do have a protector guide, but angels do protect you too. So there are angels, you're surrounded by angels, and angels help you when you needed protection. There's something called, now I'm getting ahead of myself because we're supposed to be talking about guides, but there are warrior angels. So if you ever feel like they're like super BA, they have like armor all over them, and they're part of Michael's army, and you can always ask, if you ever feel like you're in a lot of danger, you can always ask for the warring angels. I actually use the warring angels a lot as a mother. I ask them for my kids I used to ask them for my kids all the time. So human guides, spirit guides were humans at one point, and so they can the reason why is so they can easily relate to some of our experiences that we have on Earth. And so that's why they have to at least lived on Earth before or been here before as humans. So there are also different kinds of levels of spirit guides. You guys might have heard about the Ascended Masters or spiritual teachers. So like Buddha, Jesus, Mother Mary, these guys have deep spiritual growth and influence, and they are considered the Ascended Masters. You can ask for their guidance, but they're usually universal or collective, so they help a lot of people, not just one in particular. I do know a lot of people they feel like they work with Jesus, and a lot of people feel like they work with Buddha, and that's totally fine. Some people think that they work with Isis, some of the Egyptian gods, things like that. So these are the Ascended Masters. These are ones that are like, I don't ever feel like anybody's more superior or inferior than anybody else, but they're a different frequency. They're at a different level, which is what we want to be. We want to attain to be, right? Now, relatives who have passed on also can be your guides, and I deal with this all the time. I feel like my dad's around all the time. But they also too have to kind of gain spiritual growth during their lifetime so they know what they're doing. So my dad or my grandma, they would be perfect guides for me because they were guides to me on Earth too. Now, they don't now here's the thing though. If my dad's like, you need to do this, or if my dad wants to guide me, your guides can never make decisions for you. So if you ever have any spirits around you, or you feel like somebody is telling you to do something, they're not on your best or highest good, because your guides direct you, but they cannot make decisions for you. So, but like my dad, he can help me and be with me, but anything he wants to help me do also has to go through my main guide. So they kind of all work together. And another thing too that I want you to remember is working with your guides is never bypassing God or source. They all work together. So if you talk to your guides, you're not disrespecting God. You're not disrespecting source, because they work with God or source. They all work together for your highest good, for everybody's highest good. So you're not like dissing God or disrespecting God when you talk to your spirit guides. So, and the way we talk to our spirit guides, this is where it can get and sometimes your spirit guides can even appear as pets. I feel very strongly that my cat, Kovu, that came to me after my dad died, was sent to me from my dad. And I feel like I created lots of anxiety after my dad passed. And Kovu, because cats are known to protect, especially Maine Coons, and Kovu was a Maine Coon. Maine Coons are very protective. And they protect and they guide and they help with anxiety. And I very, very much feel that Kovu was sent to me from my dad. Kovu lived for 18 years. And he didn't pass until my oldest got married. And I think my dad was like, and then I found I was going to say a decent husband. I found it. But I feel like my dad was like, okay, you're good. And Kovu was old and he was able to pass. So I do feel like all the time animals can come to be your guides, and I do feel like they're sent to you. Lots of times when I'm doing readings, spirits will say we're sending this animal or we're sending this pet for them, and I just feel like and when your pets pass, I feel like Kovu's still over there watching me all the time. So your spirit guides are here can be animal guides. They can be any kind of, honestly, your spirit guides, can be whatever you want them to be, because as long as you're conversing with them, they don't care. They don't care what if you know their names. They don't care what you think they look like. As long as you're conversing with them and talking to them and they can communicate with you and help and guide you, that's all they want. So once you start that little bit of communication with them through like meditation or just talking out loud to them or asking for their guidance or doing things like that, they love that. And then once you kind of build that relationship with them, then they'll bring in their names or they'll bring in what they look like through dreams. Or like one of my guides, her name is Shar, and she's very knowledgeable and she always is with me. And the way I found, I just kind of I think I was working, and the same day I was asking her for her name, and I went to work that day and Charlotte appeared like 3 times. Like it was nonstop. Charlotte, Charlotte, Charlotte. And so then I knew that was her name. Now, some of my other guides, just the name just came to me. It just came, or I heard it. So it just depends on how they're all different. They all communicate differently. And the thing that can get confusing is they can communicate the same way your ancestors can. So kind of make sure that you maybe have different signs for different, like your main spirit guide. So my dad is Moose, but my main spirit guide, or Shar, I use owls with her. That's why I have an owl logo for my business. So just kind of have different signs, and you can tell them what signs you want them to use, and then they can use those signs and symbols. So you don't get them confused. So now angels. Angels are a little different. Angels are there to help guide and protect you, but in a different way. They're not making sure you're staying on your life course. They're just there to protect and guide you and help you when you're having hard times. So if you're having a breakdown, or if you're if you're going through grief, angels don't ever they can always be with you to give you comfort and solace, but they never had to be human before. So they've never kind of gone through some of the human experiences that our guides have. And angels are more mentioned in the Bible and religious texts and things like that. And they can also communicate with you through numbers and songs, animals, but that's kind of hard because it's the same thing as the way your guides and your ancestors can. So that's why I'm saying you kind of got to decipher how angels communicate with you and how guides communicate with you. Angels, I really feel, are more like with you. Your guides are with you all the time. I have to be honest, sometimes I can tell a difference, and most of the time I can't. Most of the time I'm just my guides. I always communicate with my guides, but I do know that I have felt the warring angels before, and I do know that I have angels that when I was going through my divorce and people would say prayers for me, I could feel that energy, and I could feel angels around me when that would happen. So, and they are there to help you without any judgment and without any conditions. And your guides are too, but your guides are more like, let's stay on the track, let's stay on your course. Angels aren't there to like help you stay on your track or on your course. Angels are just there to protect you and help you know that you are loved and watch over you. So another difference is that while a particular guide could remain so your main guide stays with you throughout your life, angels move around and help multiple people. So you could have like angels that help you one day and then they're helping somebody else the other day. Guides are with you. They're like assigned to you all the time. So, and angels kind of also appear in like energy and light, whereas guides will appear as forms of body types, animal types, or human forms, or even some people have like said that their guides are alien forms. So it just depends. And angels mostly appear with wings or light or bright lights or kind of stuff like that. So now I do know that my healer guide is not, he doesn't show up as a form. He kind of shows up as a purpley blob with glitter. And I can like picture him on different parts of if different parts of my body needs healing. So that's kind of cool too. Now, the thing is you always want to build a rapport or connection with guides and angels, with your guides and angels. Now, I seek out my guides every day, or when I meditate every day, and I just feel like every time I sit and meditate, I just picture my guides sitting in a circle with me, because circles are very powerful. And so when I meditate every day, I don't picture angels there, but I have had times when I have felt scared or feared, and I have surrounded myself with a circle of angels when I have meditated, or I felt like I needed some more protection. So some people surround themselves with white light. There have been times in my life when I've surrounded myself with angels, a circle of angels. So that can help. But your connection with your angels and your guides is really important. And I do not take this lightly. I do have, because they're your team. They're your team. They help you get through Earth. They help you connect to your higher self. Because honestly, they help you connect to your soul. And that's who they want it. Your soul wants to stay on your soul, on its soul path on this earth. And so that's why you need to, it's kind of a good thing, because they guide and protect you on this journey that you have. And so it's really important to kind of stay connected to him. I try and stay connected to him daily. Here's the thing. When you can practice this daily, you can be like, okay, so every day you can be like, okay, I want to meet, if you haven't met your guides yet, then you can do a meditation 1 week and with the sole intent to meet your main guide. And every day you meditate with the sole intent to meet your main guide. The next week you can have the intention to meet your healer guide. The next week you can have the intention, and I say a week because I feel like sometimes it needs more than just a day. And you can start to get to know these, and you can play games with them. You can say, okay, I need you to show me this today. And you can say a bird, like I need you to show me a crow today, and see if you see it. And then thank your guides and just kind of start building this rapport with them. And once you start doing that, then you will be able to start communicating and understand who is who, which is which, and all that kind of stuff. And I totally believe too, the last podcast we did was dreams. I believe that your spiritual team talks to you in your dreams or when you're sleeping at night too. They kind of sit down with you. Also, your guides were with you when you created your soul contract, because they were there to protect and watch over you. And they have to help you through this. Angels probably were not. Angels are just sent to you when you need them the most. So the best way to meet your guides is a reading is good, but I would definitely I would set an intention for the reading. So don't just go to an evidential psychic medium looking for a guide reading. Or an angel reading. I would go to a medium or a psychic who gives angel readings, or I would go to one that does give a guide reading. You have to be specific and read what it does, because what happens is, I have all the time, people will come into me for a reading and they'll say they want mediumship or they want psychic. And mediumship and psychic is family, things that are going to happen in the future, things that are coming, relationships, things like that. Mediumship is when you want to talk to people on the other side, your ancestors. So I've had people come in before and be like, well, I just wanted to know who my guides were, and I wanted to talk to my angels. And that's not my, I mean, I can do that, but that wasn't the intention at the beginning of the reading. I just assumed that they wanted an evidential reading or a psychic reading. So if you do go to a reader, or if you do go to a psychic or a medium, make sure that sometimes they'll have them listed. Sometimes they'll list that they do past life readings, or they'll list that they do spiritual guide readings, or they'll list that they do angel readings. Or they'll list that they do evidential readings. Evidentials are when evidence comes through on the other side for past loved ones. So make sure you set an intention and let your reader know at the beginning. You don't have to give them any information. You don't have to be like, I want to talk to my dad who died in 1920 of a heart attack. You don't have to say that. You could just say, my intention for this is to meet my guides. Or my intention for this reading is all spiritual, or angels and guides. Or my intention is to connect to past loved ones. That's all you have to say. Or my intention is to know what's coming up for my future. That's all you have to say. That doesn't give the medium any information. It just knows what your intentions are. So then the medium can go set the same intention And spirits can set that same attention and come through too. Meditation is also a great way to talk to your spirit guides and to your angels, because I always say praying is talking to them or talking to God or talking, and meditation is listening to what they have to say. And all the time, a lot of times too, when your mind is quiet and you ask questions, you can receive the right guidance. And so that's why it's good when you meditate to have an intention. Don't just sit. Same with the reading. Same with your meditation. Don't just sit and say, okay, whatever comes, comes. You've got to set an intention of, I want to meet my guides, or I just want to balance my chakras, or I just want to access the Akashic records. So you can't go to Akashic record reader and I mean, you can, but you have to set the intention and let them know what they're looking for or what they're asking the guides for, because there's just so much spiritual information that you can't get ancestors and loved ones and Akashic records and guides all in a lot of timeline unless the reader knows that that's what you want. So meditation is a good way to connect and always be aware. So if you're going to ask your guides and your angels to give you signs and symbols, you have to be aware of what's around you. You have to be in the now. You have to be in the moment. So you have to look around you throughout the day. I'm not saying seek out those symbols and signs, but be aware of what's going on, because there could be a U-Haul truck right in front of you with one of the signs and symbols on it, and you miss it because you don't think that that's how it's supposed to come through. And that's exactly how it comes through. So it's not going to be like, they're not going to get a pan and hit you over the head and say, this is your sign. You have to be aware of what's going on. But once you start being aware and then it gets easier. Another way to connect to them is writing, journaling. I call it automatic writing. This is like meditation and automatic writing. And I have had so many people say when they first start automatic writing, it just seems like they think that they're making up stories or they think it's them. But once they get into it and they do it for about a week or longer, then they realize what's coming from them and what's coming from their guides. And so also to set an intention with this. Write your intention at the top of the page and then just start writing. Play some music and just start writing. And you don't have to be fast at this. I have a cute little client that's always like, I always feel like I have to go so fast. You can take your time. The trick is not to stop writing. Even if you rewrite the same word over and over until something else comes in through your head. And this is how I connected with my grandfather. After he passed, he wanted to write a letter to my grandmother, and so I sat on his bench and I wrote the letter through automatic writing, and it was awesome. And there was things in that letter that I would never know, that only my grandma and my grandpa knew. So it was cool. Automatic writing is cool. So those would be the sign, and that's how you receive signs and messages from your angels and your guides, because they really do want to connect to you. There's so many guides that are just trying so hard to connect to their humans, and they can't hear them or they're not aware of them. And it's so I wouldn't say frustrating, but because they're non-judgmental and they don't judge you and they love you unconditionally, but they also want to help so badly. So just nurture those divine connections, nurture those techniques and those practices. Start this as a daily thing to connect with your spirits and your angels, because your spirit guides and your angels, because also visualization. You can sit during meditation and visualize what you think each guide looks like. And like, I really honestly imagine every time I go into my reading room that my guides are there with me. And I also imagine having meetings with them constantly. And so I know without a shadow of a doubt that my guides meet with me every night when I go to sleep. And they talk to me I can remember them in dreams. So now, and remember too, they're with you daily. It's not just like, just once in a while they come in. Your guides and sometimes angels, like the angels may be different throughout each day, but the guides stay the same, unless you're going through a different kind of transition. And so just know that they're around you and that you are loved and you are guided and you're protected. and they want to help you so much because they've been here, they know what it's like, and so they want to help you get through it, and they know how important your soul contract is, and they want to help you stay on that, and especially when you're going through some bigger transitions, and so um, they want to help you do that. So when I say spirit, I mean spirit in general, like, so it could be source, God, but also guides and angels. So when I say we talk to spirit, or spirit says this is a combination. So just like we are collective, they're part of us too. And so spirit is kind of like a whole thing. And so when I say spirit, connection to spirit, it's connection to all of it, all of your angels, your guides, um, to God, to source, to the universe. It's all so important. And that's why you need to nurture every day, or try and have these connections with them every day. Also, too, I was going to tell you, I'm not a big, huge fan of social media because it can take you out of the now. But sometimes, if you're scrolling a lot, that's how your guides will contact you. Like certain quotes or certain memes that you see throughout the day can be answers sometimes to some of the things that you are asking about. So just kind of, they try and do whatever they can to connect to you. So work on that daily. Be aware of what's going on in your life so you can kind of know that they're there and know that you're protected and guided. Most of all, I just wanted you to realize that you're not alone. You are not alone, because a lot of times we do feel alone. We feel like it's kind of like that. I don't know if you have ever heard that Footsteps poem about Jesus, about the guys walking on the ocean, and there's two sets of footsteps. And sometimes during his hardest times, there's only one set of footsteps. And the guy thought that Jesus left him during these times, when in reality, that's when Jesus carried him. And that's what they do. That's what these guides and these angels and spirit in general do. They guide us, direct us, and they carry us during our hardest times, during our grief, during our loss, during our times when we just don't think we can do it anymore, or during our time when we're scared or we have anxiety. Our spiritual team is 100% there for us. And this is so crazy because that's the time when we feel mostly alone. But they don't want us to feel like that. They want us to know that they're there. So that's why it's so important to build a daily communication with them. So during these times of conflict and hurt, that you know, that's when you feel them. You can feel them through the grief. So I just know I have a very good relationship with my guides. I know, gosh, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I know they have been with me. I know they have guided me. I know there were times that I did not want to step into this path of mediumship. I was scared to death. And I was so scared of I thought I was going to lose my whole family. I thought I was going to lose all my friends. And my guides were constantly reassuring me that it was going to be okay. And I laugh because I say that they love you unconditionally, and they are non-judgmental, which is so true, but they can also be very pushy. They don't make decisions for you, but they can say, look, this is what you wanted. This is what was in your contract. This is what you wanted, Carrie. You wanted to come here and help people and be a medium. So if you don't do this, you are going to be frustrated with yourself. And it's led me down a path that I would never not want to be on. I just think if I would have stayed where I was, it would be such a different life for me. And so that's why I totally believe in guides. But here's the thing. I always say there's a fine line between spiritual awakenings and guides, and also mental health. So if you have guides, or so-called guides, or spirits that talk to you, and they tell you to do certain things, or they don't give you that unconditional love, and they don't give you that guidance, and they try and lead you to do things that will hurt other people or that will hurt yourself, or they won't leave you alone when you ask them to. When you say, okay guys, I just need a break, and they still are around, those are not guides. And those are that's a little, that's when you need to seek some help for some psychosis issues or some different issues. And so that's when you need to seek medical help. And because guides are not there to make your life harder, guides are not there to tell you what to do or to be mean. And so if you're having issues like that, I ask you to please seek some counseling, seek some help, because that's not what they're here to do. They're here to love, and even if you were to make the wrong mistake, even if you, not the wrong, because there's no mistakes, but even if you were like to go off the path a little bit, they do not force you to get back on or tell you to do things. They gently nudge you or love you through it. And because that's what we're here to do too, is make mistakes, right? We're here to see it's not always going to be super accurate all the time. So I hope that helps with your guides. I hope that helps with your angels, the difference between them. And I hope that helps you on your connection. I feel strongly about it. I covered a little bit of guides in my connection course, and I do have a whole section about your spiritual guides in my awakening course that is always available for $60 on my website. And that awakening course will tell you about your guides. It'll tell you about signs and symbols, how to read them. It'll tell you about your chakras. It'll tell you about how to protect yourself. Those are all the basic things. My connection course actually gets in way deeper, helps you with your connection, and that course I will make available once a year. So after this time, it won't be available till next year. So I just wanted to help you guys figure out the difference between angels and guides and know that you are not alone and you're protected, and how to determine between the two. So I hope that helps you guys. I love you so much. You don't even know. Like, you guys, I have the best clients and followers ever, and I wouldn't be here without you. And I just love your support, and I love everything that you do. So I will see you guys next time. If you liked this episode of Spunky Spirit, please hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.